Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So when the story of the 2023 election is written, as it will surely be, and edited by Stephen Levine, as it most surely will be, this week will be identified as the week that the Labor government lost the election. So let's helicopter back up to just before Christmas last year, when it was very clear that Prime Minister Ardern had lost the country. The polls were talking to a huge defeat for the Labor government, and the senior team of 4 or 5 decided that there needed to be a seamless transition to Chris Hipkins. That occurred at the start of the year, and he stood up immediately and said that the Ardern era is over, that this is a new government that will be focused on bread and butter issues. And so let's just test how well that has gone. His signature focus, of course, has been the budget, and you've heard a couple of MPs try to talk about that today. So the bread and butter focus has been an utter failure. Any conversation with any New Zealander can reinforce that point. Inflation, highest level it's been in decades, interest rates going up. Every action that they are seeking to put on the table is in creating more pressure in terms of New Zealand households. And pain, as Louise Upson has said, and it is real. And so the only other focus that he had, or approach that he had, was to try and create the impression in New Zealand that somehow his government was focused on the issues that matter for New Zealand and was different from the incredibly unpopular government of his predecessor. But over the last few weeks, he has had 4 hammer blows to his credibility. First up, the Honourable Stuart Nash, like him as a guy, but had to leave Cabinet for disclosing confidential information from Cabinet to external people. A remarkable failure in judgment. Then Meka Whaitiri had to leave and walked away from her Cabinet colleagues and the Prime Minister without even picking up the phone and telling them why. And then Jan Tinetti is now in front of the Privileges Committee because of her behaviour. And in this week, one of the government's rising stars, front bench, quoted as a future leader, is stood down from Cabinet because he was asked by the Cabinet Office to sell shares that conflicted him as a Transport Minister, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 12 times. And everyone in this House knows that that is fatal politically, because perhaps he could hang on to an argument which says, I am so busy, I have so much to do, I am so important that this just slipped my mind and I should have got round to it, when he told the media and his boss yesterday that actually he had been told 5 times to do it. But 24 hours later, he has to admit and force his boss to admit in front of cross-examining by the Deputy Leader of the National Party that actually it's not 5 times that he was reminded. It's not half a dozen times that he was reminded. It was 12 times. So a Prime Minister that has essentially said to New Zealand, we are different than what was pre-Christmas, has now demonstrated that he is weak, he has lost control, and 4 ministers, nearly a fifth of Cabinet, have had to be sacked or walked away. This is the week that country has realised actually these guys have got to go. They simply don't have the capacity to govern in our interests.